how do we deal with these calf kickers? Calf kicking is, whether we like it or not, is here to stay. It is a low risk, incredibly high reward attack that we've seen this taxing now 2 guys in last night's fights. Now, I know what you're thinking, like, yo, last night was the UFC, Randy Brown versus Gabriel Bonfim. I'm going to turn over just a little bit, y'all. Forgive me. We can keep it a little unprofessional today, a little informal, just because I'm still feeling like I'm about to die. And so y'all got to forgive me if I'm taking sips of my meds. But we're going to talk a little bit about how to deal with the calf kick game. Now, Randy Brown got taxed with the calf kicks, as did Ismael Bonfim. Now, the thing with the calf kicks is on the larger scale, it's one of the jiu-jitsu guys always be talking like, this is the new meta. The whatever lock from this position, this is the new meta, right? I love my jiu-jitsu heads. I just think it sound mad goofy, but calf kicking is the new meta, right? So it's here to stay. How do we deal with it? I don't have very sexy answers for you guys because it is such a low commitment, high reward attack that can dang near immediately, maybe 2 kicks in, 3 kicks in, and as little as 2 or 3 kicks in can immediately change the course of a fight. So how do you deal with that, especially when calf kicks don't need as much of a setup? Especially if you guys watched last night, you'd see calf kicks can just be essentially thrown. And because inherently in calf kicking, you don't have to commit as much because you're attacking such a small, vulnerable area of the body. You don't have to turn your hip as if you were to throw like a big body kick or a head kick and things like that. Now, we're going to talk about some solutions for how to deal with the calf kick. And it's a little bit more than check it, right? So sure, everyone in the moms can check a kick at this point. If you're watching this, I hope that you all know how to check a kick, because I'm not going to go over how to check a kick. That's stuff that you should be drilling with your coach. But unfortunately, much of the checking game doesn't apply anymore. And this is when you start getting to the higher levels, even the stuff that we were taught from day one, now we have to either abandon it or start evolving it such that it can fit the new metas, right? So now we had UFC matches on last night, and why am I showing you this piece of footage? In the white shirt is Yuki Yoza, one of the illest calf kickers out right now. And in the sleeveless is actually my son, and I'm proud to say I've been able to train with him, Brandon Joza. So Brandon Joza is an athlete out of Queens, New York. He trains at Striking 101 with Sensei Jonathan Ruiz. And Jonathan Ruiz raising some killers. Now, understand this. This is light work. Fair enough. However, Brandon is showing us elements of how to deal with a calf kick that Randy Brown couldn't show us, that Ismael Bonfim couldn't show us. Everyone, way more people know their names than know Brandon's name, right? Please, by the way, y'all, follow Brandon. I'll post his links and whatnot underneath this video. But he has good work, and I spoke to him after this. I watched this sparring session. It turns out like he wasn't even really training. He's like a nerd, but this is like the new nerd. He's like I think he's in academics or something. He's like a teacher or something like that, a professor or whatnot. And son is sitting here being a nerd at a desk, and just rusty as sin can come in and give us this type of work against a very, very high level athlete. Now, let's talk about some of the things that Brandon Joza, my son, was able to do that was a healthier way of addressing the calf kicks. But before we do that, let's discuss some of the footage from last night and some of the ways that the calf kick is so dangerous, again, because it's so low effort. And in order to build a game around it, you really don't have to have that many extra elements. So we're going to discuss that. If you guys are watching on YouTube, the full version will be available on the Patreon, where these segments will be unblurred. So you guys can really see and nitpick some of the details from there. Patreon.com/boringbreakdowns. It will be linked below. It's also the best way to support the work. If you guys cannot, all good. Liking, sharing, subscribing is also a huge help. And also, if you have any questions, please drop a comment in the comment section below, and I'll try to get back to them ASAP. So let's go ahead and jump in. First, let's look at how simple of a game a calf kick centric game can be. From here, we're going to see. So, by the way, guys, this is Chris Padilla versus Ismael Bonfim, Gabriel Bonfim's brother. We're going to see Chris jab the rear glove of Bonfim, and he is going to step in, have this high guard, hands on the essentially like the temples, on the edge of the brows right there, and we're going to see him land a calf kick. That's it. There's not a ton else behind it. Now, how does something like this land? As I had said earlier, it's such a low commitment attack, the calf kick, right? When there's a low commitment attack, you don't have to worry about heavy setups because it's not going to take you that far out of position. Also, if you do catch them, there's such a high reward because it hurts so bad that they tend to get super tentative, even though you're not necessarily setting it up. Now, I'm pondering whether I should jump ahead, but I'll just say this as a little teaser for what's to come. I want you to now watch the segment. We're now starting from a few seconds before the calf kick happened, and go ahead and tell me what you see, but don't watch Chris Padilla. I want you to watch Yellow Shorts, Ismael Bonfim. You guys see anything? What's going on right here? Why did he get clipped like this? So look at the vibes right here. Everything is moving forward. Okay, so we have that forward moving offense. And then look at this, staying right in front of Chris with a heavier lead leg, or at the very least, perfect 50-50 distribution. His gut is right in between both legs, at the very least. It looks to be a little bit more like he's has that forward momentum, and we can take that just because we can gather that insight because he just got done that forward moving offense. From here, again, you see these kind of this sway right here, and the calf kick is going to clip. So I don't want to get too off onto on an aside. Let's go ahead and continue talking about the game that is so minimalist that can be used along with a calf kick. So we're going to see a few things here. And we have an accompanying strike, which is that jab that we discussed. We have also we have an accompanying strike with a calf kick, which is the jab. We also have negatives. So the negatives are to make it look like there's a calf kick about to be thrown, but nothing is actually thrown. So let's look at a few of these elements happening right now. So we're going to see the teep march. And because that calf kick is such a concern, there was also some front kicks being thrown from Padilla. That's going to take up a ton of real estate and force Ismael back. Okay. We're going to see showing the jab, calf kick. Okay, so we have that accompanying strike. And then we have, again, jabbing, calf kick in response, the calf kick being a really, really good tool to shut down, or at the very least, even if it doesn't shut down boxing, it's enough to tax somebody for daring to box with you. So again, we have negatives, and then we have the accompanying strike. We have the calf kick. Again, another accompanying strike and a calf kick versus some boxing work. So this is enough, essentially, to have an entire game just based on taxing someone with such a low risk, high reward technique. Let's continue. Now, alternatively, you can have just no setup. So we're going to see Gabriel here is going to throw dang near no setup on that calf kick. And we see Randy tried to do the right thing with that check. We're going to talk about the dynamics of the check versus a calf kick as opposed to a low kick. But you see how that it kind of just goes right through that check. So there's no setup here. And then another part of the calf kick game, and by the way, if you guys are Patreon members, the Yuki Yoza calf kicking study, we talk a lot about this, which is the calf kick to shut down the jab game. So we are going to see Randy throw this jab, and Gabriel is going to parry and throw that responsive calf kick. Now, why is this so effective, and why is any sort of forward moving offense so difficult to throw versus a calf kick? Because any sort of forward moving offense has my momentum coming in. When my momentum is coming in, where's my weight? It's on my lead leg, and it's more likely to get clipped. So again, no setup, calf kick because there's very little commitment, and from here, calf kick versus that jab. Now let's talk about the possible defenses, some of which we have seen last night. And we're going to talk about some of the issues in defending a calf kick versus a low kick. So let's go ahead and check this out right here. We're going to see Gabriel's going to throw, and Randy is going to do what is textbook understood as the correct thing. He's going to lift that lead leg up to check. And we see this heavy off balancing right here. You can actually see Randy's foot all the way up here as it rotates inward. Now, why is the standard check not as effective? Well, because the target is not the low thigh here. The target is right here. So a standard check is essentially going to allow you to, it raises this smaller part of the calf up to the trajectory of that calf kick, and from there you can get it rotated inward. I've actually heard of a story of a gentleman in Thailand who checked a kick and his foot went basically up here. Knee completely like blew out, and his foot is all the way up here by his chest or by his face on the check. So definitely not something that you guys want to be playing around with. Now, if you can't do anything, perhaps a standard check is better. However, there is a serious risk of having the foot come up this high, especially if you're having knee issues and things like that. And also, clearly, he's still taking a lot of that calf kick smoke. So what do we do? By the way, if you guys know what to do, let me know. Comment below. How do you guys deal with calf kicks? Do you know how to deal with calf kicks? If you do you have any specific strategies that work to defend calf kicks? But then also, do you have any specific strategies to discourage your opponent from throwing calf kicks? Now, while you guys are doing that, let's go ahead and watch this. Now, I still would not call this ideal, but if you are to do a version of a more standard check, from here, look at Randy is going to turn his foot out. And here, because it's still based on the ground as opposed to all the way lifted up, it's going to move back, and we see him in this awkward crossed foot position here, but it's not going to result in that previous segment where there's that potential for that foot to come all the way up. So if you do have to check, simply turning out but keeping grounded is a better get. But are there better strategies for dealing with the calf kick? Now, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I want to show why there's still inherent dangers in a check, even if you can stay grounded and just turn your foot out. So let's check this out. And as we're watching this, just be mindful. There's so much power behind this calf kick directed at such a small part of that low shin that even if you're, as we see here, Brown is just in the nick of time able to turn his foot out and it's grounded, it's still able to move that foot here, and this is going to off balance Brown. Again, if you can turn this foot out as opposed to eating a clean calf kick on the side or the back of your calf, excellent. However, we can see how this can still lead to damage or at the very least put you in a really difficult off-balance position. Now, I know I feel like I'm lying to you guys. I promise we're going to get to the strategies to deal with a calf kick, some of which, you guys might know. But one specific strategy that I'm referring to is something that is much, much simpler than any specific technique. But before we do that, let's look at the segment that I had brought up. I believe it was the first segment that we discussed. And now, again, pay attention to Bonfim in the yellow shorts. So just wait till we clear up. All right, wonderful. Bonfim is going to initiate some offense. Okay, right here. What's happening? What's happening? And he gets calf kicked. Okay. Now, one of the biggest things that you guys have to understand when you are dealing with a calf kicker is, and let me say this, we know this in the boxing game, right? When you're dealing with a Mexican or someone that has that typical Mexican style, right? Well, you can't stay in front of them. We all know you can't stay in front of them. You got to stay angling out, things like that. Why? Because they're just going to try to walk you down. Perhaps you can't stay in front of them, but you can't let them just constantly walk you down into the ropes and have your back on the ropes and let them tax you, right? Now, in the same way, look at this right here. Look at Ismail's just tracking with Chris as Chris moves off towards his left, and he's staying still without forcing Chris to react to Ismail's work. Now, excuse me, y'all. The danger of a calf kick is even if you are getting them to react to some of your work, they can still throw this low commitment shot. So there's still danger even in that. But the easiest way to get clipped by a calf kicker is to do this. Sit there right in front of them, not force them to have to play catch up, and allow them to just dictate by their extremely high power, low commitment attack. and you're basically just a sitting duck waiting to get clipped in the calf. Let's look at Gabriel play this exact same thing against Randy. Calf kick, calf kick. But look at the portion preceding it. Randy is staying right in front of Gabriel. A jab, a jab. Gabriel is going to respond with a jab. And then calf kick, he stays in front. And then another calf kick stays in front. Now, if you guys are thinking, well, yo, he was putting the jab out there. But putting the jab out there is still not making them have to follow your lead. What do I mean by that? If you're jabbing someone and they can just go like this, and they have good vision, they feel nice and relaxed, that's not sufficient. That activity doesn't really matter because all I have to do is parry your jab and then throw that calf kick at the same time. What I am referring to is forcing them to follow your lead. And how do you do that? We talk about this in a lot of the other studies on the Patreon, but playing negatives, sprinkling positives in there as well, in a way that instead of parrying like this, where I'm nice and relaxed, forcing the guy to go like this. I call this pre-fetal position with my students. So if you guys are getting beat up by a group of people, right, what are you going to do? You're going to huddle up like this in fetal position. Well, pre-fetal is here, right before you fully shell up. Your attention has to be pulled away a little bit. You have to be a little bit flinchy. If you can get them flinchy, now you're in a little bit better of a position. But you guys tell me, let's watch this segment. Does this jab get Gabriel flinchy? No, he's good. He's closing that distance. He's going to throw that jab. He gets the tall man strategy with the rockaway right here. So he's doing the lean back and then still staying right in front of Gabriel. Gabriel is able to throw that calf kick, still staying in front. Again, another calf kick. So understand this, guys. When you're facing a calf kicker, you have to be leading that dance. And also, you cannot be staying right in front of them. It is the same way as you would deal with a Mexican-style boxing athlete. You have to start addressing this dangerous threat. These calf kicks are changing the game, and we have to start moving accordingly. We can't just say, all right, well, yo, check the kick. We talked about what happens when you check the kick. So you have to be able to adapt in such a way that you can take away the constant fear of the calf kick. We are going to get into that, and I'm actually not going to show you any of the UFC footage. I'm going to show you, we're going to go back to my son Brandon and show some of the ways that he was able to deal with it. So we're going to see two things here. So the first thing is Brandon is going to be in the southpaw stance. Now, a lot of you guys, understand the way, generally when people get hit by calf kicks, enough, they're going to switch stance. But prematurely switching takes away a very important target for the calf kicker. So is this the most ideal strategy? Perhaps not. But, and you guys know when I talk about this type of stuff, I'm not a big fan of just immediately jumping into switching. Yo, I seen three new switching combinations from Instagram where you switch right hand and then switch left hook, whatever, this, that, and the third. Great. Good for them. Do your thing. I'm not knocking it, but I don't think that is the most important thing that a lot of athletes need to be addressing. I don't tend to switch much. If you're someone who can play appropriately and understands the risks and things like that, go with God. You know what I mean? However, I still think that there is a need for being able to switch. And this is a great scenario. Going into southpaw is a great way to take away that target for the right calf kicker. So the right leg calf kicker. So next thing, and this is something, guys, that is super important that Brandon did so well. Look at touch and then step off. Touch as he moves off towards his right in the southpaw. This forces the calf kicker to constantly reorient. Now, Yuki is going to switch to southpaw as well. And we're going to talk about, again, we see another angling off. This type of diligence with your movement is going to be so important. Again, you cannot be staying in front of a calf kicker. We're going to continue and talk about some more of how to deal with the calf kicking, but that is going to be for the Patreon members. I got to pay these bills, y'all. So if you guys would like to subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/boringbreakdowns, it will be linked below. Thank you guys very much for supporting. Please like, share, subscribe, comment if you guys have any questions.